Welcome to the Booktrovert Faves podcast, where two friends decided to bring our dramatic conversations about books here for your entertainment. I'm Rubik's mom of 5 and a baby reader just entering my book era.
And I'm Taylor, mom of 2 and a well-seasoned book era veteran. Today, we're going to be talking about what makes a 5-star read to us. So we're going to try and cover things like what is something we look for in our 5-star reads? What's a standout for our 5-star reads? Do we get offended if someone else doesn't rate it a 5-star?
Yes.
Who, me? I don't know what you're talking about.
Absolutely you.
Never.
Can I please show the receipts?
That's what we're going to talk about today. And we're not going to fight about it. It's going to be so nice. We're going to get along great.
I don't think that we would be doing this if we weren't going to fight about it.
Touche. So, hey, Rubik, what is your last 5-star read? And why was it a 5-star read? What made it 5-star?
Oh my gosh. I'm not even sure now. Hang on. Okay, so let me preface this because I feel like I need to issue a disclaimer for my 5-star reads. It's been so long since I've been like a reader. Mm-hmm. And just at the beginning of this year or at the end of last year, like with Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, like that's when I really started getting into reading.
You're welcome.
And yes, thank you. Actually, I should be saying thank you to Mel, not you.
Okay, but who made Mel read it and made her do all the dirty work to get the rest of you to read it?
Okay, fine. That's fair. My point is, though, like once I started reading again, I'm like, oh my God, I love this so much. So I was ready to rate everything 5 stars because I was enjoying all of it. Then I was seeing like how you and Mel and other friends were rating their books. And I was like, oh, we can be picky here. And I realized, okay, yeah, it doesn't really make sense to make all of my reads a 5-star read. So I changed my thinking. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not even sure what my last 5-star reading is, but let me look and see. I'm like actually scrolling through my Goodreads.
I was going to say, I don't know if I know what your last 5-star read is because all your last ones that I assumed were going to be, was it out on a limb? Because your last few that I thought would be 5 stars, you 4-starred.
Yes, I think it was. I think I 5-starred Archer's Voice and Out on a Limb. So yeah, Archer's Voice was my last 5-star, which I am very excited to talk about that one soon. Mm-hmm. So I won't talk about it now. But I rated Archer's Voice, Out on a Limb. I rated those 5 stars because I was gripped. The sad parts, I was emotionally wrecked. I mean, like at one point, I was crawling into my husband's lap, crying and just letting him just pet my hair and tell me it was going to be okay. Because I was so upset. I was so traumatized by what I was reading. So I
picture you doing that, just crawling and like, just touch me.
I was like, he was sitting on the couch and I didn't even say anything. I had my headphones in and I was listening to it and I had it on my phone, on my Kindle app. And I just like laid on the couch, put my head in his lap and I was just crying.
I also appreciate that your husband at this point just is aware. If those things are in your hand, he's like, she's fine. It's not me. It's not anything. She's reading. She's sobbing. Yeah. She's reading.
Yes. There have been many times where he's come in and he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm trying to finish this book. Leave me alone.
It's a really good part.
Or sometimes I won't even say that. I'll just look at me like, I hate Taylor.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I may or may not get text messages of screenshots of you and your husband chit-chatting. I hate Taylor. We're not friends anymore. And his response is like, for real? Or,
and then I'll continue venting. No. And he's like, oh, okay. So this is a thing. Okay.
This is just the monthly fight that you two have.
Exactly.
Because
he knows.
Great books.
And if he hears my text messages going off a whole bunch, he's like, what are you fighting about now?
The group chat is popping off.
It really does.
Someone's mad at someone's arguing their point.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I think makes a 5-star read for me. I need to have like audible reactions for a book to get a 5-star out of me now. I'm a little bit more picky about it. And if I read it, and even if I have like some really good reactive moments, if I can think like, oh, I've read a few other books similar tropes, similar genres that were better, then I might rate it 5 stars, but it's really like 4.9, 4.8 kind of thing. It's not exactly a 5 star, but I'll round up or down.
So like if you read a book that like makes you sob, you have to put it down because you need a mental health break. And I just assumed it would be a 5 star, and then you don't 5 star it.
Okay, listen, I had some legitimate issues in that book.
I don't know what you're talking about. There are no issues.
There's some issues.
No, Joey Lynch is perfect. I don't know what you're talking about.
We will talk about that later.
Yes. Don't you worry. We will be covering everything to do with the Boys of Tobin series because I have thoughts.
I'm actually really excited about that. I started rereading them just so I could like jot notes and stuff.
It's perfect. All 4 are 5 stars. See, I'm similar with my 5-star reads. At this point, I've read a couple. So
a couple.
Just like a soft, just for this year. I looked at my Goodreads and it says I've read over 300 books since I started Goodreads. And I was like, oh, I might read. I might be a reader, but
maybe I'm a reader.
Well, yeah. So I looked back and I was like, I don't know if I would rate the book I read in 2019 5 stars today. I couldn't even tell you what that book's about on some of them, but there's other ones where I'm like, if I don't remember anything else except for the vibes of when I was reading it or just like moments, if something sticks out to me from 2019 to today, then it's probably still a 5-star read because something stuck out. And now it's kind of the same thing. Like plenty of 5 stars that made me sob, lose my mind. I stopped texting because I just needed to like hide from the world. But then I have other ones where I'm like, they just made me happy. Like I kicked my feet, I did a giggle, but like it's changed because there's a lot of romance books that make you kick your feet and giggle. But there's just like, I don't know, sometimes it really is just the vibe. It could be the mood I'm in because I could just not be in the mood for that book and I judge it harsher because of the mood I'm in. Like, I think the vibe is really what does it, but also my attachment to it. Like, am I invested in a character? Do I care about what happened to them? Do I put the book down to go do my mommy things? And then I'm like, I need these kids to get their shit together so that I can get back to my book. But yeah, like those are things that factor in for me because I think I'm a tough critic for books of like, I give a lot of 4s. I don't give as many 5s. Obviously, I have given 29 5s this year, but I've read 106 books. So 29 of 106. Like,
jeez, I don't think I realized you passed 100 already.
Yeah, I passed my reading goal and I just reset it to 150. So 150 is the goal. 175 is like the secret goal of like, go me, my own little flex for myself. But 150 is like the goal, the realistic one that I could.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
It's an impressive number.
It's my skill. It's just reading and doing literally nothing else. But yeah, so I have a lot of 4s where I'm like, it was really good, but it's not something I'm going to think about all the time. It's not something that, like, I loved it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of books behind me where they're 4 stars. I love them. I'm going to wreck them.
Yeah.
They're not my babies. I wouldn't save it in a fire if it's not a 5 star. If it's a 5 star, I'm coming to this bookshelf and I'm gathering it and I'm running out the house. Like,
if you do anything like that, if there's a fire, I'm going to whoop you. Like, I swear, do not go back for your books. This is a public service message. If there is a fire, do not go back for your books. Don't be that person.
Kindle? My Kindle? Huh? I can save the Kindle.
If it's with you, your Kindle's always going to be me. Exactly. So you don't have to go save it. But like, don't go in the house that's on fire for your books. That's a bad idea. Bad things happen.
Go back in. I would take it before I left the first time.
Oh my God. Okay.
Listen. No. They're 5 stars. They're my babies.
They can be bought again.
Not all of them. Some of these are special editions. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying.
So what was your last 5 star?
My last 5 star was Daydream by Hannah Grace, which is the 3rd book from the Maple Hills Icebreaker series. And here's the thing. I reread Icebreaker. I read Wildfire back to back and then ended the day that Daydream came out. I don't know that Icebreaker is still a 5 star. It was when I read it. I actually read Icebreaker 2 days after it released when she was an indie author and had just put it up on Kindle Unlimited because I was in my hockey girl era. So it had recommended it to me as new author.
Yeah.
Try it out. So I actually, when I looked at my thing, I read it 2 days after it was released, having no idea how popular that book was about to get. And then I read the second one, which was cute and it was really good. And I really loved the character. So I gave that one a 5 stars as well. Cause it's also like a mixture of like Hannah Grace will never do anything wrong in my eyes. Like she's an angel on this earth. However, the last one, Daydream, is a 5 star. If I had to demote the other two, I would. It's so good. The main female character is the eldest daughter, which I relate to a lot with the things that like you sacrifice and things that you do growing up where you have that like, I'm your older sister, but there's that maternal thing in you. And then the main male character I've loved since book 1. So there was just like a lot of kicking and happy feet. There might be 38 tabs in my book of me loving certain things.
Oh my God.
I went tab happy in that book. I loved it, but
it's fair.
It was just perfect. It was everything I wanted. It's not everyone else's favorite in this series, but it was my favorite because I related it to the most. And that's like another reason I'll 5-star a book is if it feels like it was written for me, so that I can feel my feels because I relate, then I'll probably also give it a 5 star.
Yeah, that makes sense because that's a typical thought process for art in general, right? If it speaks to you in a certain way, if it reaches you in a certain way, it's going to be more meaningful to you than it is to somebody else. So that makes sense. Yeah, I think also I have like, if it's a book that I don't want to say that I would go back and reread because I really don't typically go back and reread anything.
No, you're not. I am. You're not.
Yeah, I am not a rereader. I read it once.
Within a month.
Yes. But I mean, I have a really good memory. So like when I read something, I remember it. Like I will go so far as to remember, like if you said something that happens, I'll remember where I was in my house and what was going on around me when I was reading that part of the book, you know? So I don't need to reread it to remember anything or experience it. I do like to write down quotes that, you know, were especially meaningful to me or that I just found ridiculously hilarious. Secure your eyeballs.
Yes.
Stuff like that because I was laughing so hard. And I actually did rate Leather and Lark 5 stars because it was so funny. I was laughing the whole time I was reading that book.
Did you give Butcher and Blackbird 5 stars?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't write a review, but I did rate both of those 5 stars because they were so funny. I mean, like I was angry with them. I was sad with them. I don't want to say like murdery, you know?
No, I was rooting them on. Murder.
Yeah. Like I wasn't completely murdery, but I felt what they were feeling, you know? But I was also laughing with them and it was making me laugh out loud where my kids are like, what are you laughing at? And I'm like, don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
I don't want to tell you.
No.
Yeah. Except for my oldest. She's like, what chapter are you on?
Yes.
She read it too.
So proud of her. Yeah. So that was my next, because that kind of goes into what I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Do you rate series as a 5 star or do you prefer to rate them within each individual book? Because you probably say ACOTAR is 5 stars, but would you say every single book is 5 stars? Probably not.
Absolutely not, because you know how I feel. You know how I feel about the novella.
The little Christmas special?
No.
Ho, ho, ho.
Absolutely not. I don't know. I'm actually going to look up what I actually rated it.
I guarantee you anger rated the hell out of that novella.
Yeah, I did. Valid. I was so angry by it because it was like, why?
She doesn't even go here. It doesn't.
She doesn't even go here.
It doesn't.
I was so angry. Look, I love a good Christmas special. Okay. I am a huge Doctor Who nerd. And one of the best things about Doctor Who is at the end of every season, they have a lovely Christmas special. And it is so good. They've done like play off Christmas Carol. They've done plays off of Santa Claus. They've done all kinds of stuff. And so I love a good Christmas special. Don't get me wrong. But in the middle of this story, I was infuriated. I could not get past that we were trying to figure out, like, Sarah's trying to teach them about Christmas and whatever they call it. You know, they're all like, what do we get Sarah for Christmas? And it's like, we have so much work to do. Shut the heck up and go find somebody. Like, what are you doing? Do you not, like, there was such a cliffhanger from all of the stuff that happened in A Court of Wings and Ruin that it was like, why?
Yeah.
You know? There's so much that we have to do right now. So I rated that one. I must have been feeling a little guilty or generous because I rated it 3 stars. But thinking back on it, I was so angry with it. I probably would have given it like 1.5 to 2. It was written well. I enjoyed the story. I did not enjoy the timing of the story. And but so the entire thing I was off.
That kind of factors though, is the rest of the series to you is 5 stars, that there's almost like a guilt in rating it anything lower than like 3.
It is.
3 is the nicest you can be, because I know you love that series and it's a 5-star series.
Yes.
Minus the book.
I was obsessed when I was reading the series. I could not put it down. I actually, let me look.
You're the reason I finished it.
Yeah. So the first book, ACOTAR, was the first series that, well, I mean, I know it's not finished, but like I read Iron Flame when it came out and then started on A Court of Thorns and Roses. And it was hard for me to get through because that book is a little...
I love the first book. I
love it, but...
I love the first book.
I love it. It's just that I think it just started off too slow. I had just come off of this whole trip with, Iron Flame, and so much was going on that starting this new world, the world building in the ACOTAR books is beautiful, but like starting a new world, it just was a little bit slower. So that went into like how I was receiving the story. And the first book was difficult for me to get through until I got to the end. And then, Farrah's kicking butt. And I'm like, yes, let's go. So then I got really more into it. And I finished, for a baby reader, I finished all 5 books in 1 month.
Yeah, you flew through it. It took me, I flew through the first 4. And then that 5th one, as you know, was a struggle town for me.
Yeah.
But, see, I would say the ACOTAR series in overall is 5 stars. However, we're not even going to talk about the Christmas, but we're going to pretend that's not there. I'm not a lover of the last book. I don't mind it. Yeah. There's things about it that I love. There's things about it I appreciate, but overall,
I feel the same. I rated that one 4 stars. That's the only other one that I didn't rate 5 stars.
But I think it made me I would 5-star the first one. I didn't 5-star the last one, but I think it made me appreciate it. And then as a whole, like if I were to think of this as a 3,000 page book, as a whole, it's also 5 stars.
Yeah.
Individually is a little different, but as a series,
it's different.
Yeah. Like I think standalones, one-offs, it's very clear how to rate them. But sometimes series are harder to rate because what if I loved the second one of A Court of Mist and Fury. Mist and Fury. Yeah, loved it. I was like, this is the best one. But then I read the third one and I was like, hold up. The third one is way better. I love
Wings and Ruin is the best book. I will die on that hill. It is the best book out of that entire series. I was sobbing. I was laughing. I was gasping. I think at one time I had texted you and Tish and was like, I'm never speaking to y'all again. How dare you?
Who's the dramatic one? Not me.
Please.
But that's what I mean.
In this moment, I wasn't dramatic. I was passionate. Okay.
That's fair. That's what I mean. Like the third one is clearly a 5-star. Does it diminish the second one being a 5-star? Does it overall?
Well, I tell you, it really didn't help with the fourth one. Reading that.
We're pretending that one doesn't exist. But it's like that with the Harry Potter series, or even my other series that I have. It's hard sometimes because when I keep reading books, like Mel just had this when she read the Maple Hill series, she loved the third one, but she liked the second one more, but she loved the third one. Yeah. So she was debating is it 5-star because I love the second one more? And I was like, to me, I could love them for different reasons and they're still 5 stars. Like the third one for Maple Hills is the best of the series, but it doesn't take away that I did 5-star the first 2. I loved them. I don't love them as much. They're not my favorite child, but it's still a 5-star because when I read it, it was a 5-star.
Right.
I can't judge past me for books that I read forever ago. I can see a book and be like, I gave it a 5-star then. It's not a 5-star now. But for when I read it, the reader I was then, she 5-starred it. It's 5 stars. And I'll argue with the wall. I'm not changing it.
Series can be funny like that, right? Because there are books like that where it's almost like when you're going when you're at a karaoke spot and you hear somebody kill a song, like Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston level, and then the next person is not really a singer, probably had too many drinks, just there to have fun. And it's like, ooh, would that person have sounded as bad if they were after a really good singer, or would they have sounded better if they were after somebody who didn't sing as well as them, right? Like it's a perception thing. But there are books like the Black Witch Chronicles. I really liked those, and every single one got better. Like I didn't have any slumps at all.
Oh.
Every single one was better for me. Yeah. And I was impressed by that. So, and even though I probably wouldn't rate the books individually 5 stars, I would probably rate the series as a whole 5 stars because I loved the story. I loved the world building. And I loved that it continuously got better and more interesting instead of me having any dips or lulls. And I even read like the 0.5 or whatever, like there's 2 novellas that are kind of read side by side or happening like they're prequel-ish, you know? And those were really good too. Not as good as the other ones, but it didn't take away from the story at all. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like Frost and Starlight where it was like, why are we doing this right now? Like it was understanding more of the backstory of
it was
what
needed
had happened.
Information. Yeah.
Yes. And it was really good. Like you really feel for some of the characters, even characters, you know, like it brought very slowly. It like had its own Star Wars moment, right? Where you realize that Luke is Darth Vader's father and that's, you know, Leia's brother and stuff like that. Like it had that slow kind of, you're invested in this character and what happens to them. And then you're like, oh, that's how they're related. Oh, shoot. I wasn't expecting that. I knew that they were going to be tied in some way, but I didn't know how. And it's like, wow. So even the novellas were really interesting and I was invested in them. So, I mean, I've read better books, but as a series, it was built really well. So I would rate the series as a whole 5 stars, even though I did not give it, I don't think I gave any of those books individually a 5 star. I don't know. I'm scrolling back to look now because I'm not sure.
You hold your 5 stars close. You don't really 5-star anything.
I don't, only because I know that if I get too lenient, like I'll just 5-star everything because I'm also like,
I mean, you could be
I see the bright side in everything.
You could be a little kinder with your 5 star.
Really?
Yeah, you could.
With all of them?
No, with any book.
Just the ones you like?
No. With any that you're like 4.75, 4.8, 4.9, you just give it the 5 star. Stop being stingy.
But if it's not a 5 star, it's not a 5 star.
You're just so critical.
I'm sorry. Have you not said yourself, if it's not a 5 star, it's not a 5 star?
But I don't grade the way you do. I don't do quarters, 0.10s. I just do the whole star.
I mean, it's not that I even have a scale that I go by. It's just like, I have to figure it out. It's like, I want to say 5 star, but I got to hold it a little bit. So maybe it's like a 4.75 because it's not quite 5.5. Like it's a very just in a feeling moment kind of thing. It's not like I have a scale where I'm measuring specifically.
You know,
that's just kind of where I go.
Is if Goodreads allowed us to do more than 5 stars of not like 1 to 10, but like points, halves and stuff in there, I think it would hurt my feelings less when you 4-star a 5-star of mine.
But if I do that, I usually put it in the review and I know you check my Goodreads feed every morning.
I stalk you. What are you talking about?
I know you do.
I stalk everybody because I feel like it would hurt my feelings less because here's my thought process with that. Just to use the Boys of Tommen as an example, I 5-starred the first 4. I only 4.5 starred the last one. Listen, he deserves the half. Because it's not. You'll see when you read it why, but it's hard.
I mean, will I though? Like,
I mean, you're spoiler to Rubik's husband. She will be crawling in your lap again a lot. So just prepare when you're reading that book.
No.
But
I don't like it.
This is what I have a hard time with because Goodreads just has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no anything in between. Obviously, you can write your review. I can see it. That's why I'm not as mean to you because you tell me and I'm like, fine. Unlike some of our other friends, I will be meaner too, or they're meaner to us. So like for that, I love the Boys of Tommen series. I love every single character. It's Gibbsy. It's his book. I worship Gibbsy. However, I only gave it 4.5. But you can look at other things on my Goodreads that are also 4 stars. And in my brain, he's better than all of the other 4 stars. He's not equal to them, but in Goodreads standards, it's a 4-star, it's a 4-star. So I think that's where I get offended, where I'm like, but I see other books that you're rating 4 stars and it's better than those. Like, Iron Flame.
But was it better
Redeeming
to
6.
you?
Iron Flame or Redeeming 6. You 4-starred both of them.
Iron Flame. Okay, but hold on. That's not a fair comparison because I am a fantasy girl.
Get out.
No, I am a fantasy girl. Like, come on. That's not a fair comparison.
Podcast over. I'm so sorry, guys. What episode we're out? What do you mean?
I mean, I prefer fantasy. So yeah, that's going to be closer to a 5-star read for me than The Boys of Tommen, because like I love the young adult like scenarios. Not saying that it's a young adult book, but I love the young adult scenarios.
It is. Boys of Tommen is young adult.
It's just sometimes it gets a little Degrassi for me, you know, like
I hate when you say that.
But where's the lie?
I will hurt you. I will fly to you right now. We're going to have words. Because I know another book that I love that you called Degrassi, and you said it in the meanest way. So don't you dare call both Degrassi.
I'm not like, okay, I know what you're talking about. And that book was too Degrassi for me. And what I mean when I say,
don't you say it about this one.
Look, what I mean when I say Degrassi is it's the kind of scenarios, the kind of things that happen. You're like, oh, poor baby sweetie. If you were older, you would understand. You know what I mean? Like, I get what they're feeling in those moments, but I'm not there anymore. So it feels like...
Oh, you're not a teenager anymore?
No, I mean, some days, but you know, when I'm in a room full of teenagers, like trying to hang out with my kids and their friends, yes, I can be a teenager, but
fair.
Most of the time it's like, they're just, I don't know, the scenarios, the things that are going on, it's a little too immature for me sometimes. Now, the book you're talking about where I said that in a meaner way, it wasn't mean, but that reason it was a typical situation where they were throwing every single teen drama trope they could into that book. That was a very typical high school centered after school special. Like all the things, you know, don't drink, don't do drugs, like, you know, don't sleep around, use protection. Like that was everything. It was everything thrown into that book. And I don't hate it, but it was just a little too much for me, because when there's a shocking plot twist coming up, I want to be shocked. I want to be surprised. When there's too many of them, like there are in shows like Degrassi or anything else, it's like, of course that happens, because why not? Everything else has happened, you know?
You think you just don't appreciate shows on the CW is all I'm hearing.
I love CW shows. I will watch all the CW shows. I have been made fun of consistently for watching CW shows, but I appreciate them for what they are. I appreciate them for what they are. It's like when you go to the movies to see a remake, like you don't go to that movie expecting it to be better than the original. You go into that movie saying, I'm watching a remake of something that I care about because it's nostalgic and I've already lived that story and loved that story. So you want to see another version of it.
Oh, so
you don't go in expecting to be surprised. No, you don't go in expecting to be surprised. I didn't go in knowing that this was going to be that kind of story, though.
It's a young adult. You should just know they're teenagers. It makes.
I actually didn't know that it was young adult until I started reading it.
It was young adult. Also, for the record, for eventually we'll be streaming and talking about this book series, The Boys of Tommen, on our Twitch. However, just to preface, I told her not to read it. I gave her spoilers. I gave her descriptions of things of why I knew she shouldn't read it. You know what she did? She read it, and now we argue about it daily. And I have witnessed.
I mean, I think it's not daily anymore.
That's because I just have to accept that you're a hater to your core.
I'm not a hater.
You don't love them like I do. It's okay. I can't wait for you to read Taming 7, though.
I'm not going to lie. I actually thought we were talking about a different book. Until just when you said Boys of Tommen. Like, Boys of Tommen, I know that is a little bit Degrassi, but not in the bad way. The other one, I thought.
No, that's what I'm saying. So when you're talking about the other one, I just know.
Why won't you say it?
Because we have a bestie, and when she listens to this and she knows what we're talking about, I can hear her screaming right now. I know it.
She's going to scream anyway.
She's going to text us in the group chat.
I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid. We're talking about Say You Swear.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to rip it off.
That everyone loved, except for Rubik's.
Okay.
Said mean things about it.
But that's why. That was the main reason why I didn't like that book is it came off like it was too many plot twists.
It's just not for you. So stop reading books in that genre so you stop hurting my feelings.
Listen, I would prefer to read fantasy. You guys are the ones who keep wrecking me all these non-fantasy books. Like, I already live in the real world.
I said I half the time don't tell you to read stuff because I am a baby. And if you don't love things that I love, I get offended. Not easily, I just get offended.
You do. Yes, you do.
Because it's my 5-star.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the getting offended when somebody doesn't rate your 5 stars a 5-star.
So I try to balance it. I have 5 stars that I will not wreck anybody because I genuinely, it's mine. My feelings will get hurt. Our play fights will actually turn into real fights, and I probably will take a couple hours of not talking to you because I just need to separate our friendship from the fight. So like there's 5 stars that I've never talked to, even like you or Mel or Kaylee or to like any of our besties. I've not told you guys about it because I am not letting you hurt my feelings if you don't also love it. And then there's other reads. Don't worry about it. Of course they're on my Goodreads. I need the credit. I am totally going to go on your Goodreads. That's my next reading goal. My next reading goal is to read all of Taylor's 5-star reads. You're not going to like some of them. That's the other thing. That's so fine. For when I wreck a 5-star, it's because I do personally think you like it. So with Boys of Tillman, I didn't want you to read it because I know your trigger warnings and what does and does not fly for you. The relatability of it I knew would connect to you. So that's a book I'm not going to wreck you. Yeah. Maybe a little fluffy, little happy-go-lucky book. I'll wreck it to you because I know how much you love those and how certain things, pull at your heartstrings. But yeah, so some 5 stars, depending on what it is, I want people to read. Stop looking at me like that. I want other people to appreciate. I just can't allow you to keep saying fluffy to me like that anymore. Like, I can't. I know. We have a totally different definition of fluffy. Again, I'm a well-seasoned veteran. I have read a thing or two. It's fluffy to me now. It's not that bad. I'm like, some of the other things I've read. This is fluffy. Who hurt you? A lot of people. It's fine. Some of the books. But yeah, so some of my 5 stars I'm not sharing with anyone. No, that's not true. There's 2 5 stars that I won't tell you guys about, but I did have someone else read them and they also 5-starred them. I want to know. Okay, they're reads. That's honestly what I keep the closest to me is my MMs, the male love interest. Because a lot of you have not read nearly as many as I have. So like, sure. There's one that I love that I had Ryan read and he loves them. He's like a diehard fan of them too. But it's like I have to like slowly introduce people to certain books because one of them's dark and it's sad. And it's like you would need 1 to 2 business days to recover from it, but it's so business days. Oh, it's a rough read. So if it's on a Friday, just take the weekend. Pretty much. I'll tell you about it later and I'll text you the why. But it was a dark read, but I'm not going to tell anyone what book it is. You can go through. I have plenty of MM reads on my Goodreads, so good luck figuring out which one it is. But yeah, so certain ones I'll share with certain people because it's what they want to read. I already know what pulls Ryan in for things that he likes to read, so I will wreck some of those 5 stars with him, but literally no one else. Yeah. But others I'm like, I want to share in the good stuff. It depends on the book too, because some of them are 5 stars and I'm like, okay, if you don't love it, I guess. But then there's other 5 stars that if you don't love it, I'm offended. Like, I gave you a gift. I gave you a perfect book and you didn't love it and appreciate it. So is it like when somebody doesn't like your best friend? Oh, yeah. If someone came to me and was like, so how do you feel about Rubik's? I'd be like, what you got to say? Thank you. It's perfect. You can't sit with us. Yeah, you can't. I feel like I'm 50-50. Like I'll either get it depends. And that's why I don't wreck some of them. I will either listen to the why and accept, or I will get offended. If it's really low, like if it's a 4-star and you say the why, then that's fine. If it's a 5-star and you gave it a 3-star, Mel, I will get offended. That's mean. Not the call out. Oh my God. He does it the most of everyone. Listen. Oh my gosh. But that's why I hide some of them, because I know myself. And she's the meanest when it comes to the 5-star situation. So I could get that way. I just don't tell you guys about those books because I don't want to be mean. But I could be if you don't love my stuff.
That's part of the reason I don't even tell you when I'm rating things. And I hesitate. There are a lot of books that I have not rated on Goodreads that I've finished because I'm like, I know Taylor's stalking me. Yes. I'm like, I know Taylor's stalking me.
Where's Archer's Voice rating? I still wanted to see it.
Yeah, I know. But some of them I'm like, I don't want to rate this on Goodreads because I'm going to get yelled at.
I think for you too, though, a lot of your 5-star reads are, you're safer than a lot of us because you're a fantasy girly and a lot of us just don't read them. I think the only person you would potentially offend is Kaylee because she's the only other like fantasy girly.
Yeah.
But you don't read a lot. We don't cross a lot in the things that we read or the things that we love.
Yeah.
Which is also probably why it's easier when you don't.
But also, I'll read the books you like.
Yeah, but you don't like anything.
What are you talking about? I like fantasy.
The things that I like. I don't read a lot of fantasy. Oh. My fantasy shelf is one of the smallest shelves I have.
But that's not true. I do like them. Some of the books I have rated, I've given. Okay. That's
I want you to
also not true. That's also not true. I love Hooked.
I love that you loved Hooked.
I loved Hooked. Hooked was fantastic. That was everything I wanted it to be. I don't think I rated it on Goodreads because I didn't want to upset you, but I would have definitely.
That wouldn't upset me. It's not even my favorite from the Never After series. It was more of like that was when you had just restarted reading and you had no idea what was going to like appeal to you.
Oh my gosh. I was in such shock. I was in such shock. I want to say that was the first,
I think it was your first
real smut. That was the first real smut. You know, like
what's great is you were so like shock and awe. And I was like, Bestie, this isn't even the worst of it. This is like,
I know.
This is like 2.5 chili peppers. Like it gets worse, babe.
And the other books, because when did I read that?
Last year.
I know last year, but I'm trying to see, did I read it before or after Fourth Wing?
I think it was before. I feel like you read it September or something of last year. I feel like we're coming up on a year of when I made you a reader again.
Oh, it'll be my birthday. My book birthday.
It was either Hooked or Fourth Flame. But I think you read Hooked
Fourth Flame? Is that what you just said?
No. Nope.
I'm not even cutting that out. That's going to be fantastic.
Not I. I didn't say
that. No, I can't find it now. I just saw it a minute ago, but I can't remember exactly when I read it. But I feel like that was like before Iron Flame. I read that.
That's when you learned that maybe not every audiobook should be played in the car.
Yes, it was. That's exactly what the...
It was like when you were like, everyone in the other cars could hear me. They were saying things. The other cars looked, they could hear.
Like, dude was looking right at me, and I'm just like, turn this down as low as I can.
Share it with everyone.
I definitely, if I do audiobooks now, I definitely have one headphone in and listen to it on my phone. I'm too embarrassed. I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby. Oh my gosh. So here's a question.
Excited. Yeah.
If you rate like a book in a series, a later book, a 5-star, do you go back and change the first or second books or anything like that?
No, I'm very much a believer in what I rated it in the moment is what it is. I won't go back and change it because like there's plenty of books that I can look at my Goodreads and be like, it's not the rating it deserves, like on further reflection. But I was a different reader when I read that, or I was in a different mood, or I didn't know that the series was going to go to where it went, and it's so much better. So yeah, I won't. In my head, I'll know, but in my Goodreads, no, I don't change it. I'm pretty much what I made it on Goodreads is what it's staying. Obviously, in my head, I could change it. I could feel a certain way or change how I felt about something, or that's not true. Goodreads, if I change it, it's because it went up in my head.
Oh, okay.
Because
you'll change it the other way to like, okay, I appreciate this more now that I've had more of the story.
Because I changed ACOTAR. I changed the first one. I only gave it, I think, 3 stars the first time I read it. I finished the third book and I changed it. I want to say I changed it to 4 stars.
That's fair. Because the first book is not, it's not a good standalone.
No.
at all.
And even with like the Mindfuck series, which I do want you to read, it's dark, but it's so good.
It's on my list. I actually think it's still on my audiobooks. I think it's still on my shelf. I still have it borrowed.
Because the thing with the Mindfuck series is it's not really a series. It's 5 novellas, but if you put them together, they're together right here. This is Den of Vipers. This is the Mindfuck. They're the same size. One of these is a book. The other one's 5 novellas. That's a series. Like for that one on Goodreads, it separates it. I mean, you could look and find the Mindfuck series as one book, which is 5 stars. However, each individual novella, I don't think I rated any of them but 2 5 stars. But as the book's 5 stars. Perfect. Beautiful. Yeah. If you're a Criminal Minds girly, go for it. But I won't go back and change them. I think what I did on Goodreads is I think I actually did look up the book as itself, because there was a part of me, it's like, it's not fair to rate book 1 3 stars because book 1's only 90 pages and like it's just building. So like I think I looked it up and I was like, I can't rate it as a novella. Novellas are hard to rate.
Yeah, I really have to relate it more towards, because I'm just getting into the books. I have always been into movies, right? And TV shows and stuff like that. And my nerd is showing big time now. So the best thing I could relate it to is Star Wars, right? Like episode 4, Star Wars, is not a good standalone movie. It's okay, but it's not like a good movie. But when you have the whole saga together, or even just that whole first trilogy, like it was epic for a reason, right? But that first movie is all set up. It's all world building. It's all like getting to know Luke. It's all learning that there's something with this Obi-Wan guy. Like it's all beginning the story. So there's nowhere really exciting that it's gone, and it leaves off right when things get exciting. So as a standalone movie, not great. As a saga, as a series, they're fantastic. I'll watch them. That's something I rewatch all the time, you know. But that's how I relate it to books. Like with ACOTAR was all world building. The first book, like it was just understanding where we're at, where this story is happening, understanding the person, which I did appreciate. Like,
yeah, I mean, we didn't even know the real cast of that series until the second book, so it was really That's why I moved it, because I think.
And the character development that happened from book 1 to book 2 was insane.
That's why I moved it, because I think for what it was, you're like, this is what people freak the fuck out about. But then you read the rest of it and you're like, oh, you know what? Her journey as a character is huge. Just seeing how she was. And you're like, you know what? I appreciate the first book for what it was and what it did. Not that I knew that when I read it the first time, but now that I'm done with what's out, I'm
feeling that way about Nesta too. So even going into the books from her perspective, from her point of view now I'm also feeling that way about her. Going back to the first book, being like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, I hate her less. You know, like I feel for her. I understand her a little bit more.
I love that for you.
I know you don't.
Wouldn't be me. I am nothing if not a Nesta hater, and I know people will hate that opinion. There wasn't enough redeeming for me. I love everybody else in that book. I don't vibe with her. I loved her.
I liked her a lot, and I love her and Cassian.
I love Cassian. He's a perfect little goddess boy, and I love him. He's a little golden retriever.
Oh my god.
He's perfect, and I love him.
So you don't go back and demote, but you'll go back and rate higher.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll promote. I won't demote. Yeah.
Okay.
I respect that. I've never promoted something to a 5-star, though, to be fair. I've promoted things from a 3 to a 4, but I've never demoted 5s down.
I have demoted.
I know you have.
I mean, listen, like it's especially in a series, I feel like I have to provide, like, for myself later. It's like, okay, book 3 was 5, and that makes me like book 1 less, like realize it wasn't as good, but I'm still learning. I'm still a baby reader. So it's like, I didn't realize until ACOTAR how into a book I could be. I didn't realize until Iron Flame that books would make me cry.
Oh yeah, I'm a crier.
I
have to be careful. I'm such a crier, so that's why I'm like, even if I cried, it's not always a 5-star.
Really?
Oh, there's plenty of books that I've sobbed to that I didn't 5-star.
I think it depends on what made me cry.
So there's some books that
you swear I cried once, but it's because of the particular situation. I would have cried in any book had I read that part of the story. You know what I mean? Like any book, any characters, if I had read that, I would have cried.
Yeah, but there's some books that I think are just meant to make you cry, meant to pull on your heartstrings. Like If He Had Been With Me, it's meant to hurt you. It is meant to like sucker punch you in the heart, sobbing. And I did. I sobbed the entire time. Marley and I were exchanging our heart rates at some point when we were reading that and the sequel. Like I sobbed, and I love that book. It's not a 5-star, but I loved it and I sobbed. But it's not 5 stars.
So why isn't it a 5-star? What else goes into your thinking?
The plot is a big thing for me. How well it was written, as much as it can be with a romance thing. But I think for me, there was just too many things about it that I was like, oh, that's annoying. Granted, for that particular book, it's a 15-year-old girl. And so I appreciate for what it is, because obviously when we're 15, the world is fucking ending no matter what's happening.
Yeah.
However, there are things in that book that are really, really sad. And I was like, this is great for what it is. There are things about it that I felt weren't necessary. And that will kind of tarnish why I won't give something a 5 stars if I feel like there's too many unnecessary plot points to something.
Right.
And that one is one of those where like, it's great. I love it. I sobbed. It's just not there. I don't think about that book. Honestly, I only think about that book when we're talking about books that make you cry or things like that. But it's not, just because I cried, it doesn't necessarily mean it's 5 stars. It's rare. Okay. It is rare that I will cry to something and not 5-star it, but there are a few occasions where I've cried and it's not. Like I cried to Iron Flame and I didn't 5-star Iron Flame.
You didn't?
No, I liked Fourth Wing more. Listen, we're going to have to cover that another day.
Oh my God. I know we are. Okay. I was just like, what?
Yeah. I can't believe you didn't notice that. Yeah. I think Mel, Tish, me, and I think even Kaylee, I think we all rated it 4 and we liked Fourth Wing more. I actually think you were the only one who rated it higher.
Yeah. I liked Iron Flame more. But it's because the series was getting better. It was getting more intensive. So
that and your bestie got a redemption arc on it.
Listen, okay, that's going to be another conversation. That's a conversation for another day. I'm not even going to start that argument with you right now. It's going to be too feisty. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today. We hope you enjoyed the vibes. If you want to keep up to date, make sure you're following us on Instagram and TikTok, Booktrovert Babes.
And if you want to watch us fight live, we are going to be streaming this Friday, September 13th on our Twitch. Same thing, Booktrovert Babes, where you can get into the action by talking to us in chat. You can pick a side, vote in the poll, and we'll post the videos on YouTube later. So if you miss us, you can look us up on there too.
Till next time, you are awesome. You are doing great.
We love you. Now stop stalling and go read that book.
Go read that book. Bye.
Bye.